In updating the Tiwi CLUP, we use three major information and data sources. First, the ecological profile that was updated in 2017 by students of the Department of Geography. Second, consultations with various stakeholders in workshops and separate meetings. Third, windshield surveys that were conducted because of budget and time constraints. Step 4 of the CLUP 12-step process is about analyzing the situation of the local government unit. Step 4 of the CLUP preparation is the bulk of the whole CLUP process. This step is essential for developing goals, strategies, and actions towards achieving the LGU vision that was framed in Step 3. Why is this step important? Because through this step, the LGU plans using data and evidence. What activities and expected outputs are involved in this step? To analyze the situation, the LGU should first review other plans that are both higher and lower level. Second is to conduct sectoral and thematic studies according to the land use planning policies and development sectors. Validate these findings with stakeholders. Determine the needs, both current and future, for each development sector. And lastly, to determine land supply that is available for the development in these particular sectors. Situational analysis is more than a technical exercise. Sure, mapping land use and other spatial data requires skills in different spatial and spreadsheet software. However, as Professor Ernesto Cerote asserts in his 2004 book, effective land use planning requires the convergence of technique, ideology, and politics. The participation of stakeholders in prioritizing issues and identifying development potentials. Both are technical, ideological, and political in nature. How long will Step 4 take? In the sample schedule of planning activities prescribed by the HLURB 2014 Guidebook, Step 4, Analyze the Situation, is allotted 7 months. Of the 18 months prescribed by the HLURB, situational analysis gets the bulk. In comparison, the next step, with most months allotted, is preparing the land use plan, which the schedule prescribes to last 3 months. This is because of the aforementioned activities and outputs for sectoral and thematic studies. For those listening to the recording, you may opt to watch the video on YouTube or on enptinho.com for a diagram presenting what I will be talking about now. The length of Step 4 is because of the following activities: mapping, validation, and consultation with stakeholders, and needs and projections assessment. Issues like political, social, and cultural are included in step 4. Towards developing analysis of the environment, analysis of different development sectors including social, economic, infrastructure, and institutional, and if the local government has the adaptive capacity, special area studies including green growth, urban design, and ancestral domain. How did it look like in our Tiwi experience? In updating the Tiwi land use plan, we saved much time of data gathering and mapping because again, the ecological profile was just updated. This is the importance of steps 1 and 2. To be able to gather available data and existing plans that may be used to analyze the situation in a more effective and time-saving manner. This was also fortunate because workshops were limited due to time and budget constraints of the extension project. Personally, the methods I used as an environmental sector planner were sieve mapping using GIS software, windshield surveys, and findings from the stakeholder workshops. I spent more time studying the data and information available in the ecological profile than thinking about priority projects and activities. Why? Because data is important in decision making. I've created an earlier recording on the techniques I used in the CLUP of Tiwi. Check it out at enptino.com. As presented in the episode of Step 3, Steps 3, setting the vision, and Step 4, analyzing the situation, can be interchanged and performed iteratively, meaning having continuous improvement and integrating data and information as they come. Most of our situational analysis was done through the stakeholder workshops and desk research, which were conducted while we presented the vision and revised it with the stakeholders. As an example of how Step 4 is a fundamental step for setting development goals and objectives in Step 5, I present one example in the infrastructure sector of the CLUP. Because the LGU envisions better provision of power supply in its vision, we needed to determine the issues and potentials based on current situation and future projections relevant to this reality gap. We identified that capital outlay was a cause for frequent power outage. We also identified the presence of the geothermal corporation as a development potential that can be tapped. With this, we set an LGU goal in Step 5 to negotiate with the geothermal corporation towards stable power supply, among other things. You have to see how Step 4 is related with Step 3 and Step 5. That although Step 4 is the bulk, how can LGU planners maximize Step 4? I acknowledge that step 4 is a very technical step in the CLUP preparation process, and we were very fortunate that the ecological profile was updated by some of our students. Even then, we still had some data gaps and issues, especially those that are not documentable. This data and information arose during the stakeholder workshops. So I encourage LGU planners to work with what they have currently and integrate data and information as they become available. There are many GIS-based tools available to start spatial analysis, particularly for mainstreaming climate and disaster risk. For example, Fivox hosts georisk.gov.ph, a platform that shows and conducts single hazard analysis hydromet for meteorological and geological risks. Also, it is important to involve other stakeholders for additional data, information, and analysis. Data and information may have different lenses in terms of the viewpoints of business people, indigenous people, women, and even children. One issue in CLUP preparation identified by planners in a 2016 study is their lack of a GIS specialist. Participatory situational analysis requires more intention than technique. The intention to include all stakeholders with their perspectives, ideologies, and politics towards identifying the most pressing issues for the development of the local government unit. Lastly, focusing on data and information that directly impacts the vision is an essential decision that the LGU planner must make. More data and information can drown the LGU planner, and as a planner, you should list down the priority data and information needed to achieve the LGU vision. Which indicators should be measured to achieve the vision? If tourism is the functional role of the municipality, municipal revenue proportion, tourism income as a portion of municipal revenue is an essential data. Analyzing the situation is allotted much of the CLUP process because the CLUP process should be anchored in data and evidence. However, analyzing the situation takes more than technical knowledge. It involves participatory methods that may involve ideological and political considerations. What do you think of this episode? Send me a message at emptinho.com. Also, follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.